I'm Valdine Anderson. I'm I'm a longtime based musician in Winnipeg, and I've been conducting PTV for about 5 years now. And before that, I had a long time career as a concert and opera soprano. So um, I've 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 been around and I'm really excited to be working with the MCO again. Last time I worked with them was actually as a soprano soloist, so it's been it's going to be fun to be with them in a different kind of circumstance. And now I'm at the university teaching at the U of M. I'm on the voice faculty there, and I started up a women's choir, and then I got hired as artistic director for PTV, and it's been really fun. So I'm coming at this performing and singing thing with a lot of my own personal experience, but it's really fun to bring out the singer in other people. And you know what? It's a terrific organization. It's been around, established in Winnipeg for over 40 years, and it's a real family of choirs that starts in kindergarten, and there's about 8 or 9 choirs when everything's all functioning. In a perfect world without COVID, usually there's about 9 choirs, and they go all the way from kindergarten to age 25 at the moment. So it's really fun. I conduct two of them, two of the more senior choirs, and it's got a great history of competing internationally. I think they won prizes in Prague. I took them to Wales a few years back, and they won third prize internationally. They were third place winners in the CBC International Choir Competition, and my girls' choir won first place for Canadian choral composition. So they're keen singers, and they work hard. And I think the fact that they start so young, most of them, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of them have been in the choir. My girls, who are older, been in the choirs since they were in grade 1 or kindergarten. So they come through the ranks, and they really kind of know the choral etiquette and what's involved in preparing. And actually, I have to say it's a really great life skill, because you get used to standing in front of people and preparing things and presenting things that you spent time on, and know that the final result is going to be your best because you've tried your hardest, and that's a real sense of accomplishment, I think, for people who are just kind of getting their feet wet in terms of public speaking, or just being in front of people. So I'd say in that respect, it's a really great experience for kids, but it's really fun just to watch all of these singers thrive, and quite a few of them also go on to music careers, whether they become choral music educators, or they go on to um, other things. We've got a current singer in our group who just won the Burl Ferguson Trophy for flute, and just kids that are interested in music seem to really are attracted to PTV. So
Wonderful. And for the concert, the Pembina Trails Voice is going to be performing alongside MCO for a premiere of Sid Rabinovich's new work, Jonah. And the piece was written especially for PTV and the MCO, right?
yes, it was. Yeah,
Very
yeah. This
exciting.
started a while ago, actually. I think the piece was completed in 2020, and the premiere was supposed to be in April 2021. And we all know what happened, and so we started with all of our fingers crossed in September, and it's going to finally happen. So hooray! And kids are really excited, and I'm sure Sid is excited to finally hear his piece. It's been a few years where it's just been kind of percolating. So.
Yes, almost you have to remind yourself, go back to the score. What did I write there? Or what are
Oh,
we
sure.
going to be?
I met with Sid a few years back, and we went over the score just to look at the vocal parts and everything, and it was something that we were just really thrilled to be invited to do, and there's no question we were going to make that happen if it was going to happen. So it was just a real great honor that the MCO reached out to us. So yeah, that's just kind of how it came about.
Wonderful. And have you worked with Sid before?
I have not, but my choirs are familiar with his music. It's funny, as we were working on Jonah, we were also preparing another one of his pieces, and I just had to remind them, this is the same composer. And they were just, oh, wow, so feeling like they knew another side of him from doing another piece that was just a little bit more maybe serious, and so it's kind of neat. One of my voice students, a university aged voice student, actually won a place in the Rose Bowl competition recently in the Winnipeg Festival, singing one of his pieces. So I know his solo rep as well, and it's wonderful. So the scope of style and I don't know, just the musical ideas are really quite amazing for one composer. He really is incredibly versatile. I also really like his music. I've heard his music on CBC. I know he writes for TV sometimes, and it's just always got a lot of flair and style. So.
For sure. Yes. And likewise for me, I'm a clarinetist. And so he's written a lot for clarinet. So it's really nice to.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I should say too, like when I was in high school, that was the first time I had heard his music. I think we played a piece by him in high school. And
Cool.
so it's amazing that young people can be exposed to his music, like your students.
Well, yeah, and then when they're doing a work like this, it's so huge. They feel like they've got I don't know, a connection somehow. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's written for them. Like they're the first performers. Do the students really they must understand how amazing that and special that is, hey?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's they're working so hard right now on just um, making sure things are precise and tidy, and everything is memorized. So I think once they realize when they're with the orchestra that this is the first time. Uh, I think that it's going to sink in at that point. Right now, it's just a lot of, okay, let's work on this next section kind of thing. So,
Yes.
I've got two soloists actually that are playing a really important part in the work, and for them, I think they quite realize that they are the people who are, setting the stage for future performances. So that's, when people go, oh, I wonder how that goes, that part goes. It'll be them that they look up. So that's at least
Wow.
at least
Very
at this
special.
very
Yeah.
special.
But you're right. At this point, there's a lot of to stay focused on the task at hand, for sure. Yes, until the exciting performances. Yeah, and well, do you want to tell us a bit more about preparing the students and maybe if there's any vocal techniques or musical elements that the students have been able to develop while they're working on the piece?
Yes, yes, there is. Apart from just the usual stuff of storytelling and enunciation, all the typical vocal things and choral things that you do, there's a section in the middle of the piece that is just pages and pages of scat singing. And this has been really fun. It was hard at first because the syllables are specific. It's not like we can just go Scooby Dooby La Di Da Di. It's specific scat syllables. So they had to actually learn that and then become kind of free with it so that it doesn't sound like they're reading syllables. It's got to sound authentic and genuine, and spontaneous. And so that took a lot of work as well, to make it kind of swing because they're trying so hard to get the notes exactly right and have that specific scat syllable on the precise note, and then it's got a little bit of a nice bossa nova or swing kind of feel beat to it. So I think they just have to loosen up and just enjoy you just at some point have to let it go and just enjoy it. So that's been a challenge, but I have to say it's their favorite part. So, and maybe, when you work on something so hard and conquer it does kind of become your thing. So.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I had spoken to Sid a few days ago for also one of these conversations on YouTube, and he mentioned this also the scatting part in the middle.
It's
So
that
yeah.
it's that feeling that you've got it all in your head, and now you just got to enjoy it. So.
Yes. And what are some other challenges, if there were any other challenges?
Um, I would just, there is a new challenge right now, and that is that we have been for 2 years with masks on. So I'm I'm anxious to see. We're still rehearsing with masks, and people are, being vigilant, especially these days. It would just kind of hanging on for another week. If we can just all stay healthy for another week. But the challenge has been. To remember that people now can see your face, and you can't yawn behind your mask or anything.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you have to really start to feel confident about expressing yourself with your face, and so that's going to be something that will come out, I'm sure, in the rehearsals when the kids are unmasked. But it's been hard to prepare because we are trying to be so careful and singing with masks. But that's going to be something that will, I'm sure, come back to them quickly and stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing their faces. And I'm sure the audience will love to see a whole, row of faces too.
Well, what are you most looking forward to when you conduct PTV and the MCO next week? And what are you hoping the audience will experience?
Personally, I'm looking so forward to collaborating with the fine, fine players of the MCO. I know what a fantastic orchestra they are, and I just know it's going to be just a thrill for me personally. For the choir, I don't know how many of them have ever performed in such a close proximity with an orchestra on a work like this before. I think it will be the thrill of a lifetime to hear these instruments and sing along with them. I've got one or two singers who are in my 18 to 25-year-old group who did perform with the MCO when they did Brindy Bar. This is
Oh,
many,
yes.
many years ago. So this singer, or these two singers, uh, were just full of enthusiasm about the experience, and in fact call it up often as one of their favorite things that ever happened. So I know for the singers that almost all of the singers next week, this will be something that will stay with them for the rest of their lives, and I'm really excited to just see that thrill and experience happen to them. It's you just can't buy that. It's just what a wonderful opportunity. So I'm looking forward to that. And for the audience, I just think seeing so many exuberant young people, youth choir, just loving the experience on stage and telling the story, and the music is so evocative and so clearly designed around the story that I know the audience can just sit back and be entertained, and I think that's going to be fun for them.
Fantastic. Yes. And actually it said something very similar. So you're you're right in tune there.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
no,
amazing.
yeah. It's a really, really fun piece, and I'm looking forward to our rehearsals. They start with the orchestra on Sunday, and it should be a really, really fantastic experience. So.
Absolutely exciting. You were mentioning that for the students to be singing with the orchestra, and it is so special. Yes. When you were in rehearsal, did you have a pianist accompanying you, or how did you do that in rehearsal?
We've had a pianist, Leanne Rager-Lee, and then Kimberly Lapatha for one of our younger choirs. We've got three choirs that are combining for this. So, and both of them have been playing the orchestra parts.
Okay.
Sid gave us a vocal score, or a choral score. So we had the parts printed out for piano, which has been really helpful, of course. So, yeah, yeah, but and we'll be sorry not to have them at the performances because they've
Yeah.
kind of lived with us throughout this whole
Yeah.
thing. I'm sure they'll love to come and hear it and hear what it was ultimately meant to sound like too. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I always like to ask, what are you enjoying listening to these days? But I do have to ask, do you have birds in your house? This is something we're listening to.
Yes, yes. I have two budgies that I just keep on living. I didn't know how long they lived for. They're both, I think our oldest one's about, I don't know, 17 years old. You just think, at some point we'll phase them out, but they just keep on going. And so we have these budgies, and they
Wow.
were from when my kids were younger, and I guess they're just thriving for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah, adds a little bit of a tropical feeling, especially in the
Yeah.
winter.
Yes. Well, you get to listen to those lovely sounds. But what else are you enjoying listening to?
Well, I listen to a lot of vocal music as I prepare, with my university voice students, and I listen to a lot of choral music, in preparing for choirs. In my downtime, I quite typically don't listen to classical music, and maybe listen to something like Bill Evans and some jazz or Chick Corea.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things is, and I never get tired of it, is something. I think the MCO did it a number of years back called Shaker Loops by John Adams. I
Oh
love that.
yeah.
It just goes on and on, but for some reason it's a very cool piece. So that's in connection with MCO. It just happens to be one of my favorite pieces too. So.
That's nice. Okay, yeah. And John, so do you listen to a lot of John Adams or music in that genre of music?
It's I do like John Adams. I sang some of his stuff when I
Okay.
was performing, but I like for some reason there's just something very kind of quieting and calming about it all. I remember the Philip
Yeah.
Glass piano concerts a couple of years back, and they were so great. I went out and bought the preludes actually, or I think they're preludes, and um, they're really fun to play on the piano, and they're just something about that. I know it.
And we'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you then, Susie. It was great to talk to you.